Bone. When we talk about bone, we know that bone is a type of a skeletal tissue, and this tissue is very hard, rigid and non-flexible. When we talk about bones, bones are the one which is going to make entire framework of the body. That means skeleton of vertebrates are made up of bones. Talking about the matrix of bone, the matrix of bone is very hard, and this hardness is because of presence of collagenous protein osine and also the presence of salts like phosphates and carbonates of calcium. Now this very long bones are going to have certain hollow cavity inside them, and that hollow cavity is called as the marrow cavity, and this marrow cavity is filled with the bone marrow. And talking about the surfaces of bone, both the inner as well as the outer surface of the bone is covered by a very tough membrane. So now as you can see in this image, this is the solid matrix in which you can see this red colored part, this thing. These canals are running throughout the part, and we can say that this longitudinal canals are called as the Haversian canals. So this solid matrix has the longitudinal canals which are called as Haversian canals, and you can see that matrix is arranged in the form of layers over here, and it is called as lamellae. So matrix is arranged in the form of layers which is called as lamellae, and this lamellae is going to form concentric circles. So you can see this thing, it is forming the concentric circles around this Haversian canals. So lamellae are going to form concentric rings around the Haversian canal, and inside this lamellae you can see fluid filled ring shaped lacunae. So in this image you can see over here that this is the lacunae. Now this lacunae is going to contain the bone forming cell, and this bone forming cells are called as osteocytes. Now moving on towards the location of bones. So we know that bones are going to form the endoskeleton of vertebrates. So we know our human skeleton consists of many bones. Similarly, there are many vertebrates whose endoskeleton is also made up of bone. Talking on about the function of bones. So here we can see that bone had a region called as bone marrow, and the bone marrow is responsible for formation of blood corpuscles. Blood corpuscles are nothing but the cells which are present in the blood. And now talking about the another function, so we know that bone is going to provide the supporting framework of the body, and it is also going to protect the internal organ. So we know a very important thing, that is rib cage is going to protect the lungs and hearts. So that is also made up of bone. Moving ahead, we can see that long bones are going to help us in locomotion. Now, what does this locomotion means? Locomotion means movement from one place to another. Now, moving on to next function of bone. So we see that bones are going to provide the surface where muscles are attaching, and these bones are going to act as the reservoir of calcium and phosphorus, since main component of bone is calcium and phosphorus.